Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS. This week, it's going to be an internal discussion between me and Kurt, and we're going to be discussing what is the best website page building solution for WordPress in 2023 if you're a freelancer or a small agency owner. It should be a great discussion. I think we got some insights. So, Kurt, before we go into the main part of the show, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. My name is Kurt von Annen. I run an agency called Mariano Nomas. I specialize in learning and membership websites, and I do some work with Lifter LMS and Jonathan at WP-Tonic.
We're going to be looking at the non-Gutenberg page builders. We're going to be looking at Gutenberg as well. And it should be a great show. But before we go into the main meat and potatoes, we've got a couple messages from our main sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We're coming back. I'd like to point out that we got some special offers from our major sponsors. Plus, we got a curated list of the best WordPress plugins. So you can build great websites on WordPress and you don't have to troll the internet trying to find the best solution. To get all these goodies and also sign up for the WP-Tonic weekly newsletter. That's a great thing to do. You can get all these goodies by going over to wp-tonic.com/deals, wp-tonic-tonic.com/deals, and you find everything there. So, Kurt, what I thought we'd do, we'll split the show into two parts. The first part, we'll look at the non-Gutenberg solutions, and then we'll look at added block functionality solutions that improve on Gutenberg in the second half. Would you agree with that particular outline, Kurt?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's dive in, man.
Right, let's go straight into it, and I'm going to bury myself. I can feel the heat mail coming my way already, but it just has to be told as it is. This is really emphasized at the semi-professional user, folks, or the power user. I think in general that's one of the problems with WordPress at the present moment, is that obviously it has a very diverse user base from beginner to expert. We're going to have an emphasis in this show for the product where you're building websites. You are a freelance or agency owner, and you're building websites which you mostly either going to be handing over to a client or you're going to be maintaining for the client, which will have an influence about which product you're probably going to be utilizing. You probably utilize a different solution depending on those two outlines I've just given, right? So let's start with in the non-Gutenberg world, let's start with the £100 gorilla. That's Elementor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it. I struggle with my pronunciations, but really became very popular, really kind of wasn't the first in the sector, but really built a following. I think it's got over 6 million downloads, has gone its own pathway, hasn't really, it's totally separate to Gutenberg. has some major strengths, has some major weaknesses. Very diverse response in the WordPress. Either people love it or there's some that hate it. How would you classify your attitude and your experience with Elementor, Kurt?
Well, Jonathan, you kind of described it, man. I mean, for me, Elementor is a love-hate relationship. I've built some really cool websites with Elementor, and I'm not a very visual person, which maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot to say that on a podcast, but I'm not a graphic design type brain. And so being able to take elements that people give me and manipulate them in a way that Elementor allows me to do that, I really like it. I mean, I've built some great stuff, but that said, I can't tell you how many times they've done a major update and websites have broke. And that to me is that's a real problem for me. I'm using this particular tool.
Yeah, that has been a consistent problem. I think they're trying to deal with that. Also, it really looked like for a time that their plan was to really fundamentally break away from their WordPress roots and become a standalone SaaS-based competitor to Wix and other similar SaaS-based solutions. But I think that there's still an element of their plan, but they've also kind of tried to retrench back into their WordPress, struggling for the right word, because they seem to go to all the major WordCamps. They're not allowed to. They have meetings around the major WordCamps, like WordCamp Europe, WordCamp USA that's coming up. I think the other factor is performance. I think, especially when it came to mobile, I think it's reasonably easy to get into a high 90 result with Animator with reasonably good hosting and a caching plugin like Rocket, WP Rocket. When it comes to mobile, it's a bit trickier. Also, it's notorious for what I call divitis. Divvies everywhere, really, really mucky code. Really, if you old school have HTML, CSS knowledge, ability, and you look at the code that Elementor produces, it's a mess. Basically, it's awful code.
Yeah, I've played with the Flexbox a bit, and
yes,
and that's a lot lighter.
Yes, that's been introduced. Hopefully, that will resolve that problem to a high degree and help with the problems, especially around mobile. One of its great strengths is just the community around it, the amount of tutorials. I find it a client that has reasonable some experience with WordPress or mucking around with Wix or the equivalent Squarespace. They can reasonably, with some one-to-one training, they can deal with Animator. They can go potty with it, but they can deal with it. And if you're looking to do post types, loops, it's got a lot of third party. They've inbuilt. It was really lacking loops in Elementor. They've also introduced that. There were third party solutions as well that dealt with that as well quite effectively. There's a lot of third party solutions aimed at Elementor. So it's definitely got some strengths, but I do understand why. If you use something like Astra, they've got a library of third party. It does make things a little bit confusing because they also added some of their own functionality to deal with a lot of people that just want to use Animate, the free product. That can cause confusion because it's got, if you use Astra with Elementor, because it's got its own header footer builder, that can cause duplication. Yeah, but it's a strong, you know, if you're conservative and you want something, I think they're dealing with this update problem. Some people said they were doing it on purpose because their focus was on their hosted solution. I think there's some truth to that, but also I think it's well overplayed as well. On to the next. You got any comment on what I've just outlined? Or
no, I'm right with you.
Yeah,
we're good, man.
On to number 2, Divi. Now, I've got the highest respect for the founder and CEO of Divi, Elegant Themes, Nick Roach. Amazing entrepreneur, really understands his target audience. The Elegant Themes team seem really nice people. When I've ever met them at WordCamps, they always seem a nice crowd. I just don't like Divi, never have, never been in it. I think it's short code madness there. But I understand why people love it, because they really understand their target audience, which is the freelancer or the person that's got a graphical background. It's got a lot of themes, you know, it's got a lot of pre-made themes, over 1,000. You got, like, for every niche, you probably can find 3 or 4. It's got a large third-party theme community. I can understand its strengths. They're in flux themselves because they're trying to move. They decided that they weren't going to try and build their own page builder, which they've got at the present moment, which is a theme, basically. It's a theme plugin hybrid. They were going to become a Gutenberg block editor, and they're trying to build that out, right? I think they still haven't. I don't know where they are with that at the present. You might know a bit more about that. I could never get into it because trying to deal with Divi problems have made my hair go slightly grey over the years. What's your thoughts about it,
Jonathan? You know, in the IT world, there's people that go, well, I'm a PC, and there's people that go, I'm a Mac, right? And so there's like Mac and PC people, and then there's people that just use computers because they're tools. And I'm like a tool kind of person. But then there's always those people like, oh, I'm a Mac, and they're like almost annoying about being a Mac, right? Like they're the artist types. And those are the folks that I usually find in the Divi space. I've used the product. I have clients that use Divi, so I've had to go in and use the Divi. And the interface is nice. It doesn't bother me. But from a support standpoint, when I'm using certain membership or learning tools and a client is like, this doesn't work, I can't find this. And I'm like, no, if you look at the right side of your screen, you're to go to the over here, and like, I don't see it. And it's like, there's a toggle switch missing somewhere, right? I go, that doesn't make sense. And they go, well, I'm in Divi. And I go, oh, now it makes sense. You know, it's like there's just things that in their interface that are missing sometimes when it has to integrate with other platforms. And that to me becomes, when a tool distracts you from executing what you need to execute, it's no longer a tool. And that's kind of where I find my problem with them.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not somebody that just hates a theme or something because it's using shortcodes. I think that's a crazy attitude. I think shortcodes are great if used sparingly. I think the problem with Divi, this is my personal take on it, is that it's shortcode madness central. Always has been. And anybody that has got any experience that's got a client that's utilize a theme, that's utilize shortcodes heavily, and then try to have to go in and sort out a problem or customize it. It's always a nightmare.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to kind of recap what I said, because I don't want to sell them short. I think for folks that have like a portfolio oriented website or an artistic oriented website, something that is just putting content forward, I've seen people make beautiful websites, and actually editing and working in that frame set it's not hard. The interface is nice. I actually like the interface. I just find that when you build a more complex package, sometimes there's integrations that don't seem to communicate.
Divi Elementor is more it's got slightly more technical focus, where Divi, if you're a graphic designer doing various mixture graphic like logo design, PDF design, and you've got clients and you're building out it, like I say, it's got an enormous template library. You're going to like how the back end works. You're going to feel at home. So I totally get it. And it's got a big Facebook and third-party communities there, very supportive. I could never. I can recommend Elementor. I just couldn't. If you're looking for something that's food, because obviously they're moving to Gutenberg. They're in mid turning point. They're trying to turn the super tanker. It might work out. They've got a lot of experience. I think there's better solutions out there at the present moment myself. If you're looking for a tool to build websites for clients and they can maintain the website themselves, I just think there's better solutions out there. That's just my honest opinion. On to the next one, Beaver Builder. Really, I still use Beaver Builder on some of my own properties. What can I say about Beaver Builder? Great people, great team, love them to bits, generous people. It's maintained, it's rock solid. They're not really doing much with it, I'm sorry. I think I've got no whispers. No, I always felt when Gutenberg was being discussed, and that they were, when I think they issued just before Elementor, they were at a time head to head with Elementor about which was best. And then Elementor took a lot. They're based in Israel. They managed to get a lot of external investment. Beaver Builder, it was just bootstrapped. To my knowledge, they never taken outside investment. I think that was the problem. I think it's always a difficult one. I think Elementor, they took external money. They were able to accelerate the development, advertisement, and then Gutenberg was announced, and it's solid, but it doesn't really. I don't think it's going anywhere. What's your own feelings about Beaver Builder?
My first exposure to Beaver Builder was when I started helping the team at Lifter LMS, because a lot of their original site was built on Beaver Builder. And, as far as functionality goes, as far as use goes, as far as the structure of using it, I've had some other projects where they've had Beaver Builder and they've had to go in and make changes. To your point, it's rock solid. It's functional. It works really well. And then when you get into the, all of the surrounding information that helps you make a purchase decision. What I really, really like about Beaver Builder from an agency perspective is all of their pricing categories all include unlimited websites. And so like when you look at Elementor is like, well, this package gives you 25 sites. And so it's like when you sell that 26th website, as an agency, you're like, well, now I'm at another couple $100, or I got to upgrade, or I got to whatever. with Beaver Builder, if you make that purchase decision up front, it's unlimited sites. So I'm always trying to think in terms of, from an agency perspective, what am I buying? How much can I reuse it? And how far can I go with it? And so I think Beaver Builder really answers a great question there. And I also too, like, I met Robbie McCullough at San Diego WordCamp US, and he really just like eye to eye, friend to friend, handshake to handshake, super nice guy. And then he introduced me to the rest of his team.
Yeah.
And I saw him at WordCamp Phoenix. I mean, they're just tremendous people.
Yeah, they're rock solid crowd. Always liked the Beaver Builder team. Because there's a lot of people that are very two-faced in the WordPress community. The people behind Beaver Builder, what you see is what you get. They're just great people. But I think that they don't provide the amount of templates that Divi provides. It's a much smaller library of pre-made templates. They've got the theme builder, which you've got to buy extra. But I do take in what you were saying about the unlimited websites. That's another thing. And it's solid, and the code's solid, and it's pretty fast. They might come back big, because some of these other things that we're going to talk about don't have big teams either. They've got a solid base. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think if you're using it now, I think you're fine. Would I recommend it for future proofing? I don't know what to say, really, because they're such nice people. I just don't want to make life difficult for them. Let's move on. Yeah. The darling. This has become one of the darlings. Bricks Builder. This has become a bit of a darling with the crowd, that the tinkerer crowd, the crowd that are looking for the next big thing. But there's a lot of substance behind this product. I just think in the world of Elementor, first of all, it's built on Vue.js. It's not built on React. It's built on Vue.js. That's why it's super fast. It's a theme. It's not a plugin, but that theme is built in Vue.js. I've always liked Vue.js compared to React, and obviously Angular. I trained as a JavaScript developer. I've always had a content for Angular. I just think it's a typical Google product, overcomplicated with terrible documentation. React, well, because it comes from Facebook. When they were talking about the future of WordPress, and when I heard that they're going to use React compared to Vue, my heart kind of sunk. If you're used to templates, CSS, integrating, I just love Vue.js. It's a shame that the big wigs at Automatic didn't decide to use Vue, in my opinion, compared to React. But that's just my opinion. It's got a very Elementor interface, isn't it? Small team. I haven't used it in Anger, but I can see why people. It hasn't got all the loops or the additional functionality if you're building out for WooCommerce. The websites, the code it produces compared to Elementor is much better. Much cleaner code. And it's got a really slick interface that's much more modern than, I've got to say, than Beaver Builder. Have you been playing with bricks at all? What's your own opinion on this one?
I like to pride myself in being an early adopter, one of those people that is brave and jumps out early, Jonathan. But this is one that I did not jump in on. I got to play with this on a client website. My client was thrilled and was just, bricks, bricks, bricks. It was like they were like a cheerleader, had pom poms, really, really into it. I liked the way that you can edit some of the photos, the way that you can edit some of the effects on the graphics and stuff. That part was kind of cool. It was almost like having a photo editor in the program. But then realistically, I could do a lot of those things in Elementor as well. But to your point, yeah, the interface was much more modern and slick feeling.
Quick as well.
It'll be interesting to see, maybe with a little more exposure, if I follow through on this one. I was looking at their pricing because that's a thing that always gets me. And they're listed for $249 for a lifetime license with unlimited websites. And that, to me, as a agency, is really attractive.
It is, but it's a two-edged sword. Are they going to be around in 3 or 4 years' time? Because we're going to touch that. But it's a small team, but they seem serious developers, and they have built something. And I love that they built it on Vue.js. And it seems, I think they just don't have the templates. You haven't got the community like you get with Divi. You haven't got that third-party plugin developer community that get with Elementor, but you also don't get the baggage that you get with Elementor, and you also. Divi's got its own type of baggage, but it's a different type of baggage than Elementor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
It's what you were just saying to me. If I was to think of like the rah-rah cheerleader type, right? It almost aligns with the Divi user in that way. Like once they make that decision, they're really, really into it. And so if that energy follows through and they can have, to your point, have that consistency, maybe they'll pick up more and more market share and move forward.
Now on to... Here we go, Jonathan. Let's go on to number 5. It's going to be more. We're doing well, though. Well, I could have added more to this because we would Oxygen and Breakdance. Now, Oxygen was, for a time, it still got its usage. It was the same crowd that really piled into Bricks, in my opinion. Now, Oxygen is a sorry story. And that's why I love Bricks, and it's got nothing to do with Bricks, but it's a sorry story of a founder that promised a lot and let a lot of people down, and he's just gone on to a new product, Breakdance. I wouldn't touch either, and it's not because they're not. Breakdance looks good in some ways. The things that attract with Breakdance are very similar to Bricks, but I would just use Bricks. I wouldn't touch Breakdance because of the founder's attitude and what he did with Oxygen. He promised a lot. When his business model offering lifetime deals that backfired on him, and he just swan off, and he's just left Oxygen, and he just swan off to Breakdance. Not good enough, really, but that's just my opinion. What would you say?
I went back into Oxygen. I did the demo just to make sure that my memory was correct, and I really don't like it. I don't, when you get the pop-up screen to adjust your text and stuff like that.
It did funky stuff with basic code as well.
It feels like I'm back and almost like, think about how long you've been in WordPress, right? Like, is this the first, second, or third iteration of the dashboard? And it's like, I feel like I went back in time. I wasn't a fan. And I sure hope I'm not hurting somebody's feelings on that one. But, when I look at cost and interface and the time it takes to build something, when I add all those things together, there's too many other choices to select that one.
Yeah. So last Thrive Architect now, they've been bought by the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory have bought these people up. The original founders, the technical and the CEO, they were great. They really knew their community, very similar to how Nick Roach knows his community in Divi. Thrive Architect was always a dog's breath as far as I was concerned. I couldn't stand it. They bundled it with all their other plugin solutions. They made a bit of a wall garden to make it all sticky. They were trying to make a kind of SaaS WordPress in the wrong way, as far as I was concerned. It didn't work out for them, and that's why they had to sell up to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's where plugins go to die, basically. They become part of the Chocolate Factory, and that's it, really. Some people still love it. I just think it's a dog's breath, basically. What's your own views?
From a support standpoint, when a customer gives me a support ticket and it says they're built on Thrive, I'm like, oh boy, right? It's like, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
It's going to be an interesting couple hours.
Jonathan, when I look at the pricing alone, it's a reason to not move forward. It's $300 a year, and it's only good for 5 websites.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That to me is that's a hobbyist with a lot of money to spend.
Well, but they offer all this other stuff, don't they? They're including all the other. But you're in the worst of two worlds, because you can't move that easily to other third-party WordPress solutions, but you still got update plugins, got to sort out your hosting, which you don't get with a SaaS solution. It's the worst of all worlds, as far as I'm concerned. If you're a freelance agency, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. So before we go, that's just my opinion. Just giving my honest opinion. You can send the hate mail to Kirk. So before we go for our midway break, what would, if you're not looking at Gutenberg, what would I recommend you? I think basically it's either Elementor or it's Bricks. If you can't stand Elementor for the obvious things, I think with Divi, I know where they're going. They're going the Gutenberg route. No, I don't know how. The problem is they're up against some really powerful competition, but Nick's got the money and he's got the knowledge and he's got the team, so you can never count him out. But what they're trying to do, the competition's getting stiffer and stiffer in the Gutenberg world. They still might pull it off. So you don't know. I wouldn't recommend old Divi. It's just like I say, Elementor, it's got its own problems. It's got its great strengths, but it's got its own problems, which they're trying to sort out. The updating and the dividers, as I call it, with Flexbox. Bricks, great, but are you going to end up with, lifetime deals? Really looks attractive. Are you going to end up with the same mess as Oxygen? Can't make any more money, got a load of support, walks away when it gets a bit tough, on to something better. Not particularly thrilled with that guy's attitude, but there we go. So would you agree, Elementor or Bricks, or you got a different point of view?
For me, and I was a very late bloomer in the community world, getting hooked up with the WordPress meetups and the WordCamps and stuff. But Elementor is so ubiquitous in nature, Jonathan. There's so many people that are into it, that use it, and if you get up against a rock in a hard place, you can reach out to someone in the community and get help. And so Elementor to me is the go-to. And I don't even know that I have a number 2, because I think it's that, or, in Gutenberg and getting up to speed on the new stuff.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go for a break. When we come back in the second half, we're going to look at the Gutenberg-based solution, the major third-party solution. There's some really attractive solutions now in Gutenberg. So we're going to talk about the major ones in that space. Should be a great discussion. Kirk's been really very diplomatic. I'm not. So, but we will be back in a few moments, folks. Back, folks. I just want to point out that if you're looking for a great hosting support partner for your websites that you're developing for clients, especially in the e-learning community-based space, why don't you have a look at what WP-Tonic's got to offer? We really have some strong linkage in the WordPress community. We understand your needs as a freelancer, small agency owner. We provide a library of plugins with all licensed, and we really understand membership community websites. So if you're looking for a great hosting partner that offers a lot more, why don't you go over to WP-Tonic/partners, WP-Tonic/partners, and fill in the form, and we can have a discussion and we can offer you a great deal. So let's look at Gutenberg. Like I say, when I heard that they were going to build it on React, my heart dropped a bit. Why not Vue? But that's water under the tunnel. Now, it's been a long, winding journey with Gutenberg, painfully long, winding. But through the third-party community, we got some great solutions that I feel make Gutenberg. A lot of people, they looked at it if they were a freelancer or they were agency, they looked at it and they were fine with it from day one. I knew some agencies in Reno that were fine with it, but they were pretty big agencies. So I also knew a lot of people that looked at it and run to Elementor or run to Oxygen, they just run to the hills. I think things have improved now, but also got worse. But better and worse in the same breath. Now let's look at some of the third-party solution that build on top of Gutenberg. Spectra. I tease them by saying Spectre. I do that because of Adam's involvement and Presler of WP Crafter. He does look like a Bond villain, doesn't he? But he doesn't care about me teasing him. He's too busy counting the money. Bless you, Adam. So Spectra from Astra, really great people, great. They've gone full site. They've gone bonkers. They've gone full sites. They've gone in big. They got in big for full site editing with Spectra, and I think at the present, I totally understand why they did it. Great team. I think everybody at some stage probably will go full site editing with their own take on it. What's your own feeling around Astra and Spectra
Well, as an agency, Astra Pro was part of my tech stack for the last 3 years.
With Elementor?
Yeah, I used Astra with Elementor or Astra with Spectra, and I would just do a needs assessment with the client and figure out, are we going to use the page builder Elementor, or are we going to stay in the blocks? And then typically, I cheat. Those starter templates that they have worked out really well to get in there and just build something and get something up for a client to be able to manipulate and use.
Because you're a strong implementer. You've got great knowledge around training, support, consultancy, but you said that you're not from a graphic design background.
Yeah.
So it would appeal to you, wouldn't you? Because you're dealing with clients at a price point where they're not going to allow you to hire a graphic designer to work with you. There would be no profit in it.
Yeah, you're nailing it. So as a product, Astra and Spectra and that combination, and you mentioned training, it was really easy to show my clients after the build, hey, this is how this works. Click here, add this, add that. If you want to change something, great. If you need my help later, let me know. We're here to support you. And off they went. It's a great product.
Yeah, but it's just, I'm sorry, folks. Full site editing, it's a bridge too far at the present moment. All these different bloody interfaces. Some people say a learner, somebody they get on with it fine. I've got a different view about it. I think it's more to do, in some ways, I think the team that are working on the Gutenberg project are doing a great job. They've improved it. It was a project in my mind about a year ago that was foundering. I was really quite concerned with it in some ways, but I think they've done a great job of rejuvenizing it, getting it, cleaning up the UX problems. I've never liked the UX design of the bloody thing. I think I've never been somebody that loved it. I think they got it to a stage where it's workable. And I think with one of these block plugins or theme solutions that we're talking about, I really like the Astra people. I just think full site editing at the present moment is a bridge too far. That's my opinion, right? You're throwing the baby out with the hot. Was it you're throwing the baby out with the bath?
With the bath water.
Yeah, with the bath water at the present moment. But that's just my opinion, folks. I think you'd be okay with it. I think there's just some better recommendations here, in my opinion. But there we go. What do I know? On to the next one, Generate Press. It's like in the first half, very similar. It's a block, but its approach is very similar to the Divi's approach compared to Animator's approach. Really clean code, comes from a developer that's got a lot of experience. It's a small team. Hasn't got a library of starter websites, child websites, starter websites, whatever metaphor you want to use. Hasn't got that library. It provides if you're from a graphic design and you got some layouts pre-built that you use for various clients, it provides really clean code, but it provides a very blank platform to build those out. It doesn't provide a library, but it's got a passionate user base and it's supposed to be quick. And got any experience with it at all, Kurt?
I just want to be clear. We're talking about Generate Press, right?
Yeah.
I was actually attracted to their list of site libraries.
Oh, I might be wrong here. I thought it was
all
right.
And so their site libraries, to me, they look like a good foundation, like for having different things to choose from. And like when I look at a library, I don't look at like, oh, that's a pretty website. What I'm looking at is the structure, right?
I've chosen the right one here. Yeah, I'm checking myself. If I had a brain fart, Kurt,
I don't know.
I got to that age. No, I'm talking about the right one. Site library. Oh, right. I might be talking out my backside here. Oh, yeah, they have. Right.
Yeah, and so they're very basic starter sites, but like I was saying earlier, I'm looking for that structural foundation, kind of what that overall visual thing would be if I put the customers, images, text, and logos in the proper place, right? And it gives you enough to start with. So
they've definitely done it. When I was looking at it and utilizing it, they didn't have to. They've done a ton of work here. And that it was one of the weaknesses. So take it back. They have moved that on. So it's a strong player, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I like it. And I kind of want to play with it a little bit to see like how it saves work, because sometimes when you work in Gutenberg, it's one of the frustrating things I have is Maxi Blocks, for example. You interviewed Maxi Blocks on a whole show once, and you would build this whole incredible thing with one of their site kits. But then if you make a change in Gutenberg, all the formatting to the site kit goes away, and then you have to resave it as the site kit again. And that's, when you think about the end user, the customer that has to run with the website after you build it for them, that's too much, so you want to make sure that you have something that's easy to use.
Well, it was when I was looking at it about over a year ago, it was the main thing. It really provided a blank, but they've provided this library. So here, I've got the main developer behind it. I apologise, but it's got a strong history in WordPress. Have a look at it. I think they're not a full site editor. I think they're using the customizer actually, which I like I say, I definitely, I think it's not the one I'm going to recommend, but I think it's a strong second place, maybe. But there's some good stuff here coming up, folks. So on to the next one, Stackable. Stackable, until Kurt pointed out that GeneratePress have moved on with their library, it was the main thing. They're based in the Philippines, actually. It's a really impressive, actually, very impressive what they've built with it. They've gone full site editing though as well. It's a full site editor. I'm pretty sure about that. They've gone full site editing, but which to me at the present moment is a bridge too far. But that's just my opinion. But if you're fine with the, it is in the end, I think they're all in some ways are going to become full site. But I don't know how this is going to pan out. But it's impressive what they've built with this. Any knowledge of Stackable, Kurt?
I've never used it in anger. I haven't built a single customer website on Stackable. I played around in it. I looked at the pricing. I like that they have a lifetime, agency pricing thing. I think it's $4.99. So I like that.
They were doing some amazing deals on AppSumo. They were hitting AppSumo hard. I don't know if they're still available, but they were doing some amazing deals. I chose a different pathway, but like I say, a young team based in the Philippines, but they're doing some great stuff.
Yeah, and the interface looks really intuitive. It looks like I want to change this, and it's like, here's how you change it. It just seems really straightforward. It doesn't look like you're pecking and hunting for stuff. Yeah.
On to they're building loops in. They're building WooCommerce in. It's a kind of framework very similar to Spectra. It's hard. There was definitely in the first half of the show, there was some stuff that I had no problem saying that you shouldn't touch with a barge pole, in my opinion. I think in the second half, there's nothing that we're listing here that if you're going to go down the Gutenberg route, there's nothing here that I'm talking about with Kurt that I would have a problem about you utilizing. You just got to really choose something depending on the kind of freelancer. Are you the more kind of graphic design freelancer, or you're the more kind of heavy developer type? Stackable, I think, GeneratePress. I think GeneratePress is more in the Divi world, is the more kind of Divi appealing. Spectra, I think, is more the Elementor. GeneratePress, I think, is in the middle. Stackable, I think it's kind of Divi as well, but I'm not too sure about that. On to the next one. How do you pronounce it?
Crocoblock.
Crocoblock. This will blow your mind, this thing. Top marks, the Ukrainians. Victory for the Ukraine. That's all I've got to say. Down with those bloody Russians. Horrible people. Not the Russian people, but the people that are running them. Terrible. It's get back onto subject, Jonathan. Just blew me away what they're building here. If you're building much more complicated websites, you're looking for loops, custom post types, and you're looking for a visual editor. You don't want to go into you don't want to become a React expert. What they're offering here, you can spend a lifetime learning how, because it comes with JetEngine. They had they had they got into Gutenberg, but they also in the Elementor camp as well. You're getting a lot of stuff here. Got any knowledge of these people? Good.
No. So I'm embarrassed. When I went through your list, Jonathan, for the show, I was like, who are these people? And then when you look at it, it's $1,000, if you want to sign up as an agency, but it comes with, 20 different plugins and all these different tools.
It's mind blowing, isn't it?
And then here's where they got me. And Jonathan, I don't know, they might get my money. I might have to check this out, but I mean, they offer real-time Zoom support and text chats. And if you've been in WordPress for any amount of time, I don't know
how they do that. Do you?
I mean, I do that Zoom mastermind with Lifter every week, right? So it's like, yeah. So there's companies that do like Zoom get-togethers, but how do you offer support to the general populace? Live Zoom support. I'm like, I almost want to buy it and invent a problem and see how they handle it.
Well, you want to try it. You want to see if they talk to you. They're prepared to talk to you before you buy it. That's how I would deal with that. But there we go. It is mind blowing. It is pricey if you buy the whole thing, but you're getting a hell of a lot of stuff, folks.
Yeah, tons of templates and widgets and all kinds of stuff.
I think for the time you're spending on it, you're going to be committed to it, because it's not only the price, but which is very reasonable for everything you're getting. And they've been around a while, and they seem a strong team, just as Stackable. You just got to choose. There's no real weak solutions in their second half, folks. They're all pretty genuine stuff here. You just got to choose your poison. On to the last one, Cadence WP. It's the way that I'm probably going to move WP-Tonic. I'm really impressed with Cadence. Ben, the developer, he's like Nick Roach. He really understands his user base. You've got some of the developer chops available there, as you get with Stackable and Crocker-Block, but he also understands. It's got a beautiful library of pre-designed starter. It's got a lot of. The lifetime deal is a fantastic deal. They offer a fantastic. I bought it for what you get. They're with a hosting competitor, but they seem to be managing their plugin purchases in a sensible way. And I know some of the people in it's a bit strange how they can't really seem to really focus on what they're calling their company. Is it Liquidware? Is it Stellar? Is it whatever they're going to call it? Somebody needs to stamp their foot down and decide what they're calling this bloody thing. But that's got nothing to do with the developer of Cadence WP. I just love it. But I haven't utilized the others. No, I've utilized Spectra, but I love that as well. But watched him be interviewed, and he said he was saying his attitude to full site editing is my own attitude. It's got its place. He's not saying he won't go down. He's using the customizer. I think GeneratePress does that as well at the present moment. I think the interface, how you're going to utilize patterns, these new metaphors that come with full site editing have to be worked out a bit more. He's watching it, and I trust him. He knows what he's doing. What's your own thoughts about Cadence WP?
I got a fair amount of experience with Cadence, and it's always been one of my top go-tos, and I work like kind of like in a 3 to 5 year period, right? So over the last 3 years, I basically gave customers a choice. Do you want to be on Cadence or Astra, and then put that together, right? Whatever that equals, and then their Cadence blocks is tremendous, and you could use that with any other theme as well. So their tools are solid, man. I really like working with their stuff. Outside of that, I was thinking about. So I haven't used Spectra in a full site editing capacity at all. All of my experience in Spectra has been in Gutenberg blocks. And what I liked about Spectra was it opened up, the design elements that just really seem missing in plain Gutenberg. Like you go to edit a site and you're like, how do I move this crap around? And then you activate Gutenberg and you're like, not activate Gutenberg, you activate Spectra and you're like, oh, there it is. Padding and margins and all that stuff shows up. Cadence to me is like that. Like it's like, in plain Gutenberg, there's stuff that's just plain missing sometimes. And then when you have Cadence, it opens up those possibilities and abilities a whole lot better.
Yeah, so I'm kind of commit to Cadence, but folks, Spectra, I think you'd be fine. Generate Press, I think Stackable and Crocker-Block. If you're looking to develop bigger websites, more complicated, using loops, custom blocks, Cadence really works with ACF, Advanced Custom Fields, which I've got a lifetime license with that, and WP-Engine have honoured that, and I think they've got no plans of not honouring that, and they're building it out more, so it really works rock solid with Cadence and ACF. But if you haven't got that lifetime with, I think all of them, but the thing that makes it hard is my attitude around full site editing at the present moment. Like I say, I think for the present moment, it's just a bridge too far. I wouldn't want to get involved in, and you don't know what the team behind Gutenberg, what they're going to throw out next. It's ongoing, which is great. I just think it would have been better in a plug-in some of the more experimental stuff. That's just my opinion. So what's your final comments? I can't out of all this stuff, is there one or two, is there a couple of these that appeal to you more than the others, basically?
I've used the term hobbyist already on the show today, Jonathan, and I think that's part of the key when we have these discussions is like, where you have to recognize, where are you at on this ladder, right? Like, are you a hobbyist and you like to play with stuff and learn new things and have access to cool new tools and maybe help your friends build something for their business? That's one way. Or are you an agency and you have to have access to tools that are efficient and reliable, ubiquitous in nature, so that other people can jump in if you need to, like, because you're going to have maybe offshore talent or something like that you're using. So there's a lot to this decision, more than just what's cool and flashy, like the shiny new object syndrome. When I look at Crock-a-Block, dude, that's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff, right? And then you look at you look at it, you go, well, this could be a full-time job just learning this. And then it says they have 22,000 users, and so someone might read that and go, well, that's awesome. They got 22,000 users. They're stable. But dude, there's 8.7 million sites built on Elementor.
I don't think they go anywhere. I think for the person that's looking for all embracing to move Gutenberg on to the next level, that doesn't want to become a React, their JSON knowledge is at a certain level. You can do amazing stuff with Crock-Block. You can do amazing. I don't think Stackable as a developer tool is at the same levels Crock-Blocks, but they're getting there, and it's got great it's got some other strengths. I think so I think what we're going to do is going to wrap up the podcast show, but we'll probably keep on going. Shall we end it now? Well, no, let's just have a quick discussion. The last thing is, something outside, but also interesting, is been announced from Adam Prazier and from the Astra team, is this thing called Zip WP, which enables you to build websites in 1 minute. Basically, it's using AI, and I would imagine it's using Spectra and full site editing to knock the website. And it also puts in not kind of AI content in the site. So what was your reaction when they announced Zip WP?
Well, my announcement was I better get my name on the list so I can try it out. And when I signed up on the list, I was number 8,063 on the
I
wait
got
list.
there. I got there before you. I did.
So, so the big thing is, okay, so what's this going to look like? How's it going to work? What's it going to do? And we could be excited about it, but until I see it work, I mean, it's just another thing. A lot of things in AI, we've covered AI before, Jonathan, and there's lots of great tools out there, but there's so much that's overblown.
Yes.
You know, I see these conversations about people go, well, AI is going to replace these developers
It's
and
a tool.
implementers and
It's
stuff.
a tool.
And I think about it like this. How many business clients have you made a website for? And they said, I absolutely must have access to the back end. I'm going to make my own updates. I'm going to do all this stuff. And then they never touch their websites. And for some reason, we're supposed to be afraid that they're going to use AI to replace us. Like they won't even change the header on their homepage.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I think, we were right to introduce it into the podcast because I don't actually think there's too much more to say about it until we actually see it. All right, and folks. So, Kurt, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and what you're up to, Kurt?
Manananomas.com will take you right to my properties, Manana Nomas. And then I'm on LinkedIn, man. Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn. I'm the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn, and I'm on there almost every day.
Yeah, and if you want to join the community, you've got a great WP-Tonic Facebook group. It's called the Membership Machine Group. It's named after my other podcast with Spencer Forum, where we talk about WordPress and membership and marketing. Join us there for WordPress marketing discussions, AI discussions as well. So find us on Facebook. And we'll be back next week. We've got some great guests in August. Should be a great month. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully give some feedback about what we've discussed. I've just given you my honest opinion. I'd love to get some feedback from you. I'm sure you will supply that. We will be back next week, folks. Bye.